Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to watch how to counter the Carcano, Clara and Savannah defense that's so normal in so many siege fights. So yeah, we're going to see a couple of counters that we can pick safely against it and some that can actually take some RNG with them in order to work all the time, because they actually need to land bombs and stuff, and the 15% can happen, so we have to accept that. But for the first one, I wanted to show you a counter that actually has never failed me. So this one is Jan, Leo and the Fire Pony. However, if you don't have the Fire Pony, I will show you how to replace it. And of course, we are counting on Leo reducing the damage of the Savannah, since Savannah deals damage based on speed, and Leo will get everyone on his same speed, which is actually +0. So yeah, she will not be dealing a ton of damage. And of course, Leo will drain the attacks of Carcano, so you have to build Leo as tanky as possible and with as much resistance as you can build him. But that is the usual, guys. And of course the pony will be taking the attack bar of the enemies, which is great when you pair him up with Leo, or pair her up with Leo. Okay, I know she's a female. So yeah, and Jan is there to provoke the enemies. Of course, Carcano can bypass the invincibility from Jan, but we don't care, the others can't. So if we get to AoE provoke the enemy team, then amazing, we won. And of course we have the resistance leader of Jan as well, which will allow us to resist some of the debuffs that they try to apply, for instance the defense breaks from Savannah or the defense breaks from Carcano himself. And of course we can actually resist those trips and stuff that happens, guys, because not everyone built their Clara on 100% aggressive, on 85% aggressive. Some of them did not, and I didn't myself. She's on, I think, 70% aggressive. So yeah, having high resistance will really help us. And this team is really good, guys, and they are not running any violent runes. So yeah, we are not counting on that kind of RNG here. However, we do run these pair sets. So now, guys, I decided to switch the runes on some of these units onto more violent runes. As you can see, I went for my violent Savannah because the previous team was the one that's tuned in order not to get cut, so the Clara moves and then Savannah moves. But there is a chance for Savannah to derp. And of course, when you're running Leo, I am assuming the enemy has will runes. That's why I'm not hitting Savannah here, so I won't prevent her from using her AoE defense break on the enemies right after Clara. So yeah, so the rest of my team moves. I'm not going to take advantage of that. I will imagine that everyone has will runes. That's why I'm going for Clara all the time. And of course, when you go for Clara, you will interrupt the conditions of her third skill. Therefore, she doesn't have perfect AI anymore because she received damage. So there's a chance that the Clara will derp after your Leo hit her. So maybe she won't even try to strip at all, guys. So yeah, that's something that you have to keep in mind. And of course, if you have Leo, then he's a great counter for any Savannah defense. Now, if you don't have the pony, you can easily replace the pony with a khaki, and things will go exactly as you planned. Of course, we will actually need some RNG every now and then, because if the enemies move and they take 3 turns every turn, then there's nothing you can actually do, guys. And that happens on every single defense that you are not cleaving. So that's why I love to cleave things, guys. I don't want to allow the enemy to move and to let the violent runes go 4 times in a row and mess myself up when I went for the perfect strat and stuff like that, because that's so frustrating about this game. So yeah, when you run this kind of thing, guys, there's always the chance for the enemy to proc a million times and win, and you have to accept that and assume that when you're going to choose these kind of counters for those enemy defenses. Now we will be moving on to the next one. I will let you watch one more run. Well, now we're moving on to my favorite counter for this defense, which is the Garo, Draco, and Raulk. Guys, try to build your Garo and Raulk with as high crit rate as you can. Mine are not 100% crit rate, therefore they have a chance to actually not crit, and you may not kill the Carcano. So that will be really bad. Guys, I will show this to you against this weak Carcano that deals tons of damage and it's on biome runes, but has only plus 11k HP, so he's easy to one-shot actually. And then I will change the Carcano that I use, and I will show you that this offense works against a tankier Carcano, a Carcano with over 30k HP as well. But yeah, try to deal as much damage as you can. Once you kill Carcano, you won the match, guys. Once you kill Carcano, you won the match. Of course, you have to outspeed in order to win, guys. And yeah, the Clara can move and can stun your full team. However, if things went well, your enemy Savannah will already be dismounted by your Garo and Raulk. So yeah, even though the Clara does the best she can to strip every buff and stun all of your team, the enemy won't have the damage to kill you, and the only multi-hit unit they have is Clara, so they will be actually counting on violent procs in order to kill Garo, and that may not happen, guys. Now for this counter, well, you know, this is another budget team. Of course, there's Perna here, but yeah, we are going to use Tessarion for the resistance lead, and of course in order to Oblivion the Beast Rider, so that when we attack her with Perna, we can kill her in one shot. Now that didn't happen here because, you know, of course my Tessarion got a pushback from Savannah, but yeah, now we Oblivioned her and we can get rid of her without her dismounting, so yeah, that makes things faster. And of course, if you proc a million times as my Perna did, then things will be much easier. So I will show you a couple more rounds with this team, and then we will be moving on to the next one. Well guys, in the spirit of going more budget, then we go for a Nat 14. Guys, if you wanted to replace the Perna in the previous team, then you may actually use a Garo instead of Perna, and it will work as well. So for this one, we're going for the bigger Khali and Triana, and if you were to have a tankier Triana than mine, because mine deals damage actually, then it will be much better, and of course with high resistance as well. But this team is pretty straightforward, guys. You have to actually you count on the passive of Triana in order to protect the remaining units on your team, and then of course we have a water unit which will be bigger, that can actually resist the strips from the the stuns from the Clara, and yeah, because she has more chances of glancing on him. And of course, if your Khali was to actually proc a lot, then things are always much easier. However, this team, guys, can fail, and is actually the team that has the most chances of failing out of all the teams that I already showed you. So yeah, this is the worst that I showed you, guys. And guys, now I will show you how this team can lose. I did runs until I got a losing one, and well, you know, you'll watch it by yourself. Well, this one's an interesting one, guys. We are going to use Josephine in order to actually get the shield sap when the enemy tries to stun turn 1. And of course we have Raccoon to cleanse, and we have Rika to apply dots and kill everything. Now this one can actually lose, however, you know, when the enemy Clara actually takes turn 1, then you can get a turn with your Josephine, so you can provoke the Carcano. However, this time around I fail. Carcano resisted. That's a 15% chance, that's okay. But when you provoke Carcano with your Josephine, then you know you most likely will be able to prevent him from attacking the Rika, unless he takes a couple turns. However, when he attacks Josephine, she will revenge, because she will have revenge buff up, and she has a chance to stun Carcano. And of course, Josephine can also stun the Beast Rider, since she doesn't glance when she attacks. And you know, that will help you control the enemy team. And of course, if Rika takes a turn, she can apply dots on most of the enemy team. And you know, she will be dealing a ton of damage. The enemies will be under the effects of slow as well, so that will reduce the damage that the Beast Rider does onto you. So, and of course we have Raccoon to give turns to Rika, and Rika has her own proc mechanic on her skill 1, so this is all in all a very nice team. However, this team also depends on RNG and can fail. And now we're going to test the Cleave again, but this time around the Carcano will be the tanky one, to see if this Cleave can actually kill a tankier Carcano. And guys, the answer is yes, of course, this Cleave can kill that tankier Carcano. So yeah, this time around we got the proc. However, if we did not, then Garo will have moved and, you know, killed the Carcano. However, here we didn't land the stun, that's too bad. However, that will have been the result if the enemy Beast Rider will have had Will Runes on. So all in all, this was a very nice test. And one more test, guys, and we will speed this up so that you can see how it works. And this time around, guys, we're going for Leo, and we're going for a different style comp. We are trying to land bombs on everything, and if we miss every bomb, then we are done. And of course, if we miss on Carcano, things will go really wrong here. However, I left the tanky Carcano so that he doesn't die on one single bomb, so things are much more complicated for us. So, you know, that test is way more reliable, you know. So Now we're going for the Beast Rider in order to make sure to dismount her before the bomb explodes. And yeah, once we got the Beast Rider dismounted, then we can apply the bombs. And if we land them, then we win. If we don't, then we don't actually lose, but things are going to be much more complicated. So, as you guys know, when you are going to pick Lucian here, you always have that RNG factor that can mess up your comp. But yeah, I will show you a couple more runs. And now we're going to see Ciara, a booster, and a stripper. In this case, we're going for Ken. However, you know, my Savannah is on Nemesis Rune, so this comp doesn't work as well on my team. And of course, guys, if you were to miss the strips here, then you can be very complicated. So instead of going for Ken, you can go for a more reliable stripper that actually deals damage. For instance, you can even go for the Fire Fairy here if you build her on damage, because she's a much more reliable stripper that can apply slow debuff, so that the Beast Rider deals less damage when she attacks. And of course, you will be dealing tons of damage. If you have good artifacts that deal damage based on speed, that will be amazing as well. And then you can guarantee the enemies won't have will runes when your Ciara tries to apply a bomb. Of course, to bomb, you have 85% chance of landing that. So there's always that RNG factor, as we did with Cyan before, with Lucian. And you can miss bomb, and if you do and the enemies get a couple of procs, then things can be quite complicated, guys. And the final team that I'm going to show you today, guys, is the Bolverk, Amelia, and Skull comp. Of course, this comp, well, you know it. It's really tanky, deals a ton of damage, and of course, if you can get as much resistance as possible, it will be better. However, if the enemy Clara decides to stun your full team turn 1, and you know the Savannah doesn't derp, and defense rate your team pushes back the attack bars, well, you know, things can be very rough here, very complicated, especially if the Skull gets the defense rate up and the Carcano takes a couple of turns and kills your Skull. Well, you know, there's nothing you can do about that. You can lose this fight turn 1. And yeah, so when you are bringing this team against the Carcano, Clara, and Savannah defense, you know that RNG can actually mess you up. However, I tend to bring this team against that defense, and you know, most of the times I win. I actually win. So I will show you a couple rounds of this team, and then I will say goodbye. So guys, I will show you the runes one more time, and guys, if this was useful for you, please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and remember, if you have any questions about the game, let me know in the comment section and I will be very happy to reply as always. See you all in the next one. Bye bye.